All right, I'm still trying to process the news. I am heartbroken. Let me first give you the news, what the news is, and how this kind of impacts me and how this impacts you. First, Sonoma Wireworks announced yesterday that they were closing shop effectively as of the day before. This means that we had no notice. There was zero chance to go and buy, drum corps or anything else. Certainly, if they had given us an extra month, I would have put a video up immediately telling you to go out and buy Riffworks. At the very least, buy Riffworks. And it wasn't very much. It was $50. Buy as many instant drummers as you could, and that they dropped the price on those drastically. I'm sure that Sonoma was really suffering financially. Drum corps was amazing, because drum corps basically was the modern plug-in version of Riffworks. So Riffworks, as you probably know, I've mentioned it before, it's up to 24 track DAW, and it's loop based. It's not linear based like most DAWs. I mean, most DAWs you plug in and you record and it will go for 25 minutes. Well, Riffworks will go for 4 bars, and then it'll automatically create another take in that 4 bars, and then another take in that 4 bars, and then you drag that section up into the playlist, up into the timeline. I used to be able to record. I recorded an entire album, sometimes writing 3 songs from scratch, no idea what I was going to play, in one day. I wrote an entire 2 CD album using Riffworks, and it's an integral part of my process and my workflow. I mean, Riffworks is my workflow. And I put up a video last year saying, if you were to try to improve your guitar playing and songwriting immensely for $50, what would you buy? And I came right out and I said, Riffworks, buy Riffworks. Go to Sonoma's website, buy Riffworks. It's too late. You can't buy Riffworks. This was the one thing that, you could be a so-so kind of average guitar player, buy Riffworks, start learning how to use it, and your playing improved would triple almost overnight. You would gain a lot of knowledge, a lot of skill. It was the best tool to improve your guitar playing and songwriting, and as a front end to a DAW, it was fantastic. The weakness it had, of course, was that it was a limited number of tracks, but some DAWs will only allow you up to 24 tracks. Some will cut you off at 36. There are very few that will allow you to go all the way up to 48 tracks, etc. Riffworks had everything. It had the drums. It had parametric EQ, so you could actually go in there and kind of fine tune and adjust your album, and it was amazing. And you could dump everything out to an OGG file for mastering, or you could just dump it to a raw wave file. You could also render it to MP3, but if you're going to be importing it, you could into any other DAW for mastering and producing. You could and this was my plan, was to record my next few albums in it, process and dump it into Persona Studio One or Cubase. I don't know which of the two I'm going to get. Very possibly I've started using Cakewalk again. That was my plan. Dump it out into that, and any of those, and produce and master my next few albums. And then eventually, at some point, I knew that Riffworks, because obviously Sonoma had abandoned Riffworks, they hadn't done an update in it since 2013. So we're talking 9 years. And I even said on a recent video that I was afraid that they were going to go out of business. Well, they have. And again, if they had given notice, I would have said, everyone needs to run out right now and get drum corps. I would have gotten drum corps. I would have thrown it on credit card. It would have been $250. For $600, you could have gotten all of their instant drummers, because the instant drummers were one at a time imports into Riffworks, but this way you could have taken anything. It basically is a VST, and it 32 and 64 bit, and so you could have put it into any, and that would have been your drums. And that was what my plan was, is when I was going to buy Persona Studio One, or I was going to buy Cubase or use Cakewalk. I wasn't sure which of the three I was going to choose, and I would get drum core, to get the whole $600 shooting match, and that way I would have all the instant drummers and I'd be able to work with it the way I'd kind of worked with Riffworks, just not as fun. It was about 2015, I think it was, that I had contacted Sonoma and said, hey, listen, we need to update Riffworks so that it can accept VSTs. And they're limited on VSTs, but they were thinking guitar-oriented VSTs, like amplifier mods and stuff like that. And certainly it was you could front end it through Line 6 Gear Monkey. And certainly I'd been with them for a very long time, since 2013 at least, possibly 2012. I know I'd gotten it and played with it a little bit, and I used it as a 4-track for a while, and then my wife went ahead and paid the upgrade for me, which was the $50 to get the full Riffworks standard. Eventually it will stop working because Microsoft will just keep making updates and updates and updates and updates. Now you have no choice of whether Microsoft installs updates or not, and sooner or later I knew Riffworks would just stop working. And so I was prepared for that, but now it looks like I'm going to have to get prepared to do my songwriting into one of those other DAWs, and just have to buy one of those other DAWs as quickly as I can. Thank you, Sonoma, for everything you did. I was such a huge fan of Riffworks, and this is very hard for me. I'm going to miss what in my opinion was the truly greatest workflows for any guitar player, because guitar players think in terms of, you're playing with the drummer, and the drummer's like, okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and you kick, and you're on the 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and that's the way Riffworks was set up. It's whereas most DAWs are set up like, old recording tape. You put the tape reels on and record, and there you go. Or you put it to digital and record, and there you go. But Riffworks was more set up how songs were done, and it was fantastic. And I appreciate 9 great years, and thank you very much, and we will miss you. And take care.